It was situated in the Via dei Banchi, near St. Peter's. In Rome, as everywhere else, the arrival of a post-chaise is an event. Ten young descendants of Marius and the Gracchi, barefooted and out at elbows, with one hand resting on the hip and the other gracefully curved above the head, stared at the traveler, the post-chaise, and the horses. To these were added about 50 little vagabonds from the Papal States, who earned a pittance by diving into the Tiber at high water from the bridge of St. Angelo. Now, as these street Arabs of Rome, more fortunate than those of Paris, understand every language, more especially the French, they heard the traveler order an apartment, a dinner, and finally inquire the way to the house of Thomson in French. The result was that when the newcomer left the hotel with the cicerone, a man detached himself from the rest of the idlers, and without having been seen by the traveler, and appearing to excite no attention from the guide, followed the stranger with as much skill as a Parisian police agent would have used. The Frenchman had been so impatient to reach the house of Thomson and French that he would not wait for the horses to be harnessed, but left word for the carriage to overtake him on the road, or to wait for him at the banker's door. He reached it before the carriage arrived. The Frenchman entered, leaving in the anteroom his guide, who immediately entered into conversation with 2 or 3 of the industrious idlers who are always to be found in Rome at the doors of banking houses, churches, museums, or theaters. With the Frenchman, the man who had followed him entered too. The Frenchman knocked at the inner door, and entered the first room. His shadow did the same. Messrs. Thomson and French? Inquired the stranger. An attendant arose at a sign from a confidential clerk at the first desk. "Whom shall I announce?" said the attendant. "Baron Danglars." "Follow me," said the man. A door opened, through which the attendant and the Baron disappeared. The man who had followed Danglars sat down on a bench. The clerk continued to write for the next 5 minutes. The man preserved profound silence, and remained perfectly motionless. Then the pen of the clerk ceased to move over the paper. He raised his head, and appearing to be perfectly sure of privacy, "Ah," he said, "here you are, Peppino." Yes, was the laconic reply. You have found out that there is something worth having about this large gentleman? There is no great merit due to me, for we were informed of it. You know his business here, then? Pardieu, he has come to draw, but I don't know how much. You will know presently, my friend. Very well, only do not give me false information as you did the other day. What do you mean? Of whom do you speak? Was it the Englishman who carried off 3,000 crowns from here the other day? No, he really had 3,000 crowns, and we found them. I mean the Russian prince, who you said had 30,000 livres, and we only found 22,000. You must have searched badly. Luigi Vampa himself searched. Indeed? But you must let me make my observations, or the Frenchman will transact his business without my knowing the sum. Peppino nodded, and taking a rosary from his pocket began to mutter a few prayers while the clerk disappeared through the same door by which Danglars and the attendant had gone out. At the expiration of 10 minutes the clerk returned with a beaming countenance. Well? Asked Peppino of his friend. Joy, joy, the sum is large. 5 or 6 millions, is it not? Yes, you know the amount. On the receipt of the Count of Monte Cristo? Why, how came you to be so well acquainted with all this? I told you we were informed beforehand. Then why do you apply to me? That I may be sure I have the right man. Yes, it is indeed he. 5 millions, a pretty sum, eh, Peppino? Hush, here is our man. The clerk seized his pen, and Peppino his beads, one was writing and the other praying when the door opened. Danglars looked radiant with joy, the banker accompanied him to the door. Peppino followed Danglars. According to the arrangements, the carriage was waiting at the door. The guide held the door open. Guides are useful people, who will turn their hands to anything. Danglars leapt into the carriage like a young man of 20. The cicerone reclosed the door, and sprang up by the side of the coachman. Peppino mounted the seat behind. Will your Excellency visit St. Peter's? Asked the cicerone. I did not come to Rome to see, said Danglars aloud, then he added softly, with an avaricious smile. I came to touch. And he rapped his pocketbook, in which he had just placed a letter. Then your excellency is going? To the hotel.